Thank you for tuning in to the Starkey Multifamily Podcast, where I appreciate any likes and shares or subscriptions you can give me. I have today with me Doug Benson. He is a family man with 4 kids, 7 grandkids, married in 1980. He has Esker Properties, which he'll tell you a little bit about that when we get going. He has, with him and his wife, they have acquired 81 units with over 6 properties since 2003. So, Doug, thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So let's dig in here. You said you talked a little bit about your flipping and how that transitioned into multifamily. So let's start. What made you make that transition?
Well, it was following the lead of Debbie and her family. Deb's family's always been hammer swingers, apartment owners. They've been very comfortable in real estate. And my family never has, okay? My family's been government bureaucrats. I was just kind of going through a mental list. I have I'm counted amongst 5 brothers and sisters, a mom and a dad. So the 7 of us, 6 of them have worked for the government as bureaucrats. And I didn't, but the point is that was just our normal life, right? Now, Debbie's family, they were out buying old beat up houses, fixing them up, making them nice, buying apartments. That was their whole world. And so Debbie and I kicked around we house hacked as we got older. We purchased our first house. I was 21 and she was 20. And that's when we bought our first house. And her dad came over and he added a deck onto the house that was beautiful and increased the value and all that good stuff. So that was the lesson. And so Deb kept pushing for us to just get more active in this space, and it was pretty easy to do. We certainly had a lot of expertise around us. We bought a little tiny place in Holt, Michigan. Probably it was a 2-bedroom with an enormous garage attached to it. And we bought it with Deb's brother. And he was like the guy who knew how to swing the hammer and wire stuff and, hook up plumbing and all that. And we, just a quick story, we're trying to impress Debbie's father as to look how good we are. And so we invited him over to look at the house, and it was kind of a chilly day. I think it was in the winter, and Paul comes in and he looks, and we walks in the bathroom. We notice there's steam pouring out of the toilet bowl, and we had accidentally hooked the hot water to the toilet. So it just showed how little we really knew about anything, but we all had quite a good laugh at that. Anyway, make a long story short, which is hard for me to do, we made ghastly money. We made an awful lot of money when we sold that house, just about doubled our money. So we thought, this is a pretty cool deal. So Debbie and I, we purchased another house actually in the city that we lived in, Mason. Did all the work ourselves, hung all the cabinets, all the windows, doors, everything. Learned a heck of a lot, rented it out for about 6 months and then sold it. Again, made an awful lot of money, but it was really a tough lifestyle. I'm in IT, Debbie was an RN. So we'd been working all day long. We'd come home from work, throw on our Carhartts, try to get a babysitter for the kid, or in Debbie's case, she'd take all 4 kids with her to these houses. She'd bring a little porta potty with her, and you work, you got tools flying, you got little kids running all around. It was just kind of not it didn't feel like it was a path to safety, certainly not the childhood longevity. So we hit the brakes. We probably stopped flipping from 1994 for at least 10 years. We got back into it, took some training to learn how to do short sales, and started buying up houses really in earnest, probably in 2003, all the way through, I think the last house we purchased was in 2014. So we flipped about 25 houses, used the money for all the stuff that you use for when you have kids with braces and college and cars and, all the other things that you need to spend money on. But towards the end, we started investing the funds from the house flips into purchasing multifamily. Because we could see the goodness in that, having an asset that guaranteed every month was going to generate income was really attractive. The tax ramifications, being able to use depreciation was very attractive. The holding on to a property so you didn't have to get hit with short-term capital gains, that was attractive. So we just started getting more and more into multifamily and started funding our multifamily entirely with house flips, to the point that now we don't flip houses anymore. We just are, we kind of self-fund everything out of the building. So that was the transition. It just felt like the natural thing to do. The first multi that we bought was a 4-unit. It was built a long time ago. It was built in like 1885 as a boarding house, a 4-bedroom boarding house. And each of the bedrooms was turned into its own separate standalone unit. It's a beautiful, visually, it's very beautiful property. And we still own it. We own it to this day. In fact, I was just over there this morning. We're looking at some of that 1885 plumbing. And we're gonna run cameras down next week, see if it's scaled real heavily, if it needs to be replaced. But yeah, we'll probably own that building forever.
So, so you got the 4-unit,
Yep.
and then, so that obviously worked well for you.
It did. The 4-unit taught us multifamily chops. We bought the building. One of the tenants came up to me and said, I'm going to move now. And I stared at her like, wait, what do you mean? You came with a building. What do you mean you're going to move? I was that ignorant. It didn't even occur to me that these tenants might ever move. So, yeah, she left and suddenly I had a vacancy. And so we had to learn about marketing and advertising. And now I think that's one of our strengths. I think we have really effective marketing in place. I think our lease is very effective as well. We have automatic payment systems in place. So, you can imagine you give anything 15, 16 years to mature, and you're certainly going to get better. But what that 4-unit really did for us was it gave us credibility in the lending side of the marketplace. We're able to have debt providers, more formal debt providers like banks, credit unions, were extremely comfortable with lending us money, seem to know a thing or two about multifamily. And so our next purchase, we owned that 4-unit probably for about a year and a half. And we called on a 16-unit that was in Lansing. And we were able to get 90% financing, like just a snap of a finger. We used the equity of our home as a downstroke, and we bought 16 units just like that. They were completely comfortable that we knew the business enough to part with the money. A 90% loan to value is awesome. I'm old enough that I remember those days. And again, that we were able to have the conversation. We were able to show that we knew the business and we were worthwhile. And that was a big game changer. That 4-unit was the correct training grounds for us to get good at multifamily.
So then the 16 was obviously a bigger deal. That's going to be a commercial loan.
Yes. Yep.
But you said that was pretty easy because of your experience on the 4.
It was easy to get the loan. Certainly wasn't easy to run the building. We did everything wrong. I am the absolute role model for doing it wrong. And I'm still around, which is actually surprising. We only looked at 1 unit. Never occurred to us to look at the other 15 units, right? So we looked at 1 vacant unit. We looked at the rent rolls and we looked at the financials of it, and it all made sense and it all worked. Every month there were a couple more dollars at the end of the month and at the beginning of the month, but we were completely ignorant about CapEx, deferred maintenance, ongoing operations. You can't get that feel when you own a 4-unit. You understand that maybe there's something there, but when you go from 4 to 16, it's a completely different animal. And heck, I've been freely admitting this all my life. We bought that building probably too quick. I'm super happy that we own it now, and I'm super happy that we bought it. Again, we learned a little bit of chops at Holt Road. We learned everything with Alpha Street. It must have been the 2nd year of ownership that a guy went and built a condo right next to us. He changed the water table, flooded us out. So now all of a sudden, we're in a lawsuit with this guy. So, there's so many free, and well, that certainly wasn't free, but there's so many chances for education when you jump in like we jumped in. Now it's a beautiful complex. We've been remodeling all the units as they turn over now, and we're doing all brand new everything. You know, floors, cabinets, doors, countertops, appliances, light fixtures, and the units look great. And we're getting a ton of rent for them. And now we're even talking about adding some balconies onto this building. So, you know, like I said, Debbie and I are buy and hold investors. We bought the 4-unit in 2003. We bought this 16-unit in 2005. I think in 2009, we bought another 12 units. In 2011, we bought another 12. We bought, geez, I'm trying to think of what else. We bought, you know, 37 units in 2015. So we've never sold any of them. We don't intend to. I'm a big fan of the goose and golden egg conversation. And, you know, I just don't want to get rid of these golden eggs. So that's kind of how we invest. And that's what makes sense so far.
And then you had mentioned before we talked here that you were managing all these yourself.
Yes, we still do. Yep.
So what are your intentions? Do you continue? I mean, how big do you think you can get before that becomes too much?
Well, I've reached a point where I don't believe that I'm spending my best time finding new deals and, you know, researching other properties. I think that, and Debbie agrees, we're also doing Airbnbs now, which, you know, that's a cycle that really is a completely, it feels like a very similar conversation to a short-term rental, but there's an awful lot of administrivia that comes with Airbnb. So instead of getting wrapped all around the axle of, you know, being the maintenance guy, I mean, I have a maintenance crew and they're excellent. But I want to get to a point to where I do have maybe a layer between me and the properties. So we're right on the brink. I'll bet if we were to buy another building, I'd probably say, okay, you know, I'm done managing it. I don't mind managing a manager. I'm very comfortable with that. I feel like I know all the conversations to where that could work good. But so far, we've not reached that point to where it's overwhelming. Our model is we look for a C-class property in a C+ to B- neighborhood. You know, I joke about, we have this thing called the Esther daughter rule, which is basically I wouldn't buy a building that I wasn't comfortable letting any of my daughters live in, spend the night in, to where I wouldn't lose sleep over it. Okay, so we're kind of always looking for very good neighborhoods, really poor buildings in very good neighborhoods. And so far we've been able to do that. We purchase our buildings, normally they're discounted because they're in trouble. The current owners had it up to here. The 20 unit that we bought, one of the property managers, he told me he's afraid to even go in the building. I mean, he said he doesn't even like walking inside the building that he's supposed to manage. So you can imagine, I mean, those are buildings that they're perfect for what we're looking for. So, you know, we'll get the building, we'll go ahead and, you know, first thing we like to do is just put all new windows in. Like this 20 unit building, I think we spent $46,000 putting new windows in everywhere, but it was absolutely worth it. Just sends a message to everybody, the community, the neighborhood, that we're improving the building. You know, here we are again, we're making another building a nice place to stay. And then we go inside and we do the complete, you know, new floors, new door, you know, you name it. I mean, the 20 unit building that we just purchased, we did not replace the cabinets because we liked how they laid out and how they looked, but we did put brand new countertops on them, you know, new sinks, new light fixtures, new appliances where needed, new floors everywhere. We go with a vinyl plank floor now. And so our buildings are no longer C-class buildings when you go inside them. I think we compete very nicely with some of the higher end stuff that's in mid-Michigan. And so we try to run it that way. We have some exterior work that we're now doing. I mean, we always do the interiors first. I've had some conversations with guys that they go the other way. Guys and girls, they go the other way. They do the exterior first to try to send the message, you know, look how nice the building is, you're going to love it here. And then they do the interiors. But we always do the interiors first. We're now this year putting a lot of money into the exteriors of our buildings. And it's paid off. It's a model that's worked very well for us.
So you had told me a little bit about a toilet story in one of your buildings and the return that you got on that.
Yeah.
If you mind telling that story, I thought that
Yeah,
was.
that's, I think probably everybody knows that story. It's just a fun one. This is the 20 unit building. The previous owner was an attorney, and I'm going to say this jokingly, but I love buying buildings from attorneys. I love attorneys, right? I mean, I've got a bunch of them in my life. They're personal friends, but it just seems like it seems like maybe attorneys are thinking the core business of multifamily is the eviction process. And so they feel like they have this built-in advantage over guys like me that have to hire an attorney to do an eviction. And in my world, the last thing in the world you want to do is evict somebody, because that means you made the wrong choice of the tenant. And, I mean, so that means you got to improve who you are and how your operation goes. So anyway, my segue is, so I'm buying this building from an attorney. So I knew that was going to be good. This was the one where the property manager was bragging how he goes, geez, I just run an ad. He says, I just put out a sign out there that says, we have a vacancy. The first $575 can move in. And you can imagine the caliber of tenants that he was getting there. All right, so the property manager kind of wasn't really doing what he should have been doing. The owner was an attorney. And the attorney took me aside and he says, this is after closing. He said, you might have made a big mistake here. He says, we've got utility bills here that are just going to blow you away. He says, we can't do anything about it. Good luck to you. Like he thought he got over on me, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing we did is we purchased 23 brand new Summit 3 Mansfield, Summit 3 toilets. They're low flow. They got a big high discharge valve. So, when you flush one of those things, I think it was George Carlin that said, he's lost ideas down toilets like this, right? So, I think it was $3,000 to have all these, 20 to 23 new toilets purchased, have them all installed. And I cut my water and sewer bill by $1,500 a month the first month. The second month, another $1,500. Now my investment's paid off. Every month after that has been money in my pocket and another nice kind of fun to tell. Look at what, how the attorney got over on me, right? So that's my toilet story. We do that to all our buildings now. Water and fire are the two largest things that could damage a building. Water can damage a building through operations. Water and sewer is a heavy hitter. And if you can fight it, I mean, in many of these utilities now, they want to help you. They'll come out and they'll bring out low flow, shower discharges, sink, faucet attachments. But you go ahead and start swapping out a bunch of sloppy, continually running toilets. Oh man, toilets are now just a favorite conversation of mine. So yeah, that's my toilet story.
Well, and not even that, just the value of the CapEx or the value of the forced appreciation on the building as well.
Sure. Yeah.
And if and I know you don't plan to sell it, but at least you have that value. You can borrow.
Oh yeah, you get to paint a very beautiful picture when you're starting to use cap rates for building performance. When you can eliminate $1,500 a month in expense just through a $3,000 investment. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is your so what's your plan moving forward? So have you ever thought about syndicating, or you just plan to still?
I'm betting my next deal is probably going to have to cause me to syndicate. We're like, for instance, if you look at any 200 unit building, you're immediately in the 12 to 14 million dollar, range. I mean, suddenly you're in the tens of millions of dollars, and I don't know. I could probably leverage my equity to make that downstroke happen, but I want to continue to grow in my knowledge, and I think syndication would be the smart next step for me, and maybe an inevitable step. I'm not exactly sure. I will kind of do whatever comes, but you got to know it's probably right around the corner that I'm going to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just depends on what your goals are. I mean, it's could go any way, but
yeah, it could. Yep.
So you're looking for, is there a particular property you're looking for now?
We have our eyes set on two separate locations. I suddenly got the bug again to invest in the South. That hits me about once every 6 months. I don't want to say that summer is ending, but you can kind of get a sense that, it's not 95 degrees every single day. Before you know it's going to be August, and before you know it, it's going to be October, November, and I'll be dreaming of, geez, I wish I had a multifamily on Gulf Shores, right? So
Yeah.
I'm letting myself go there again mentally. Um, Again, though, you know, they're gold down there. Multifamily is just appreciated so much in value that it's tough to make the performance models work. But you just got to get connected, and hope that maybe there's some family that had possibly 80 units left to them in a will, and none of them want anything to do with it, and they always hated how grandpa spent his whole day over there, and so it leaves a bad taste in their mouth, and they just want to get rid of it. I mean, the only way you can be positioned to take advantage of something like that is through better networking and all that. So I have to improve that a little bit, but I'm at a state in my life right now where it's always fun to do, and so I'm really not thinking no to anything. I mean, we might even get something further up north, for gosh sakes, who knows? But we're looking. We're always looking, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Well, how would somebody get a hold of you, Doug, if they wanted to contact you?
Well, I've got, obviously, like the rest of the world, I got an email. It's Doug, D-O-U-G, and then the name of my company, Esker Properties, Doug at eskerproperties.com. I have a website that I use now solely for marketing for my multifamily. If you want to go out there and take a look, it's me walking around like a very incompetent Cecil B. DeMille with my handheld, iPhone camera, taking videos and pictures of the units. And so we have video and pictures of all our units. We have an online application for people to fill out, but it's basically a landing point for all my marketing. The way we do marketing is we, plant that seed that we've got units available. We've hooked up with rent links. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. So we put our story in rent links about our buildings and our units, and that gets fed downstream to all the places where people are looking for apartments, like apartments.com, show me the rent, space for lease. And when they see our ad, all they got to do is just inquire, and it sends me an email. And my ad also includes a link to our website. So I've had people that just skip the middleman. They just go to the website, they cruise our inventory, they take a look at what they like. They fill out an application. We charge $30 for an application. We do a background check, and it's like bada bing, bada boom. I mean, they get through that. Next up is, if they're good, if they pass everything, then we've got a new tenant. So the marketing's been really effective. I probably get around 5 to 7 leads every day that I communicate with. I have templates built up so I can automatically fire back an email to the email inquiries. I can automatically send a text message if they included a phone number with their email. So I do both of those things, and in both those templates, it includes a link to our website. So the website is kind of the landing spot for anybody looking for a place to live, and it's worked very well. But yeah, that's how people could get a hold of me, or they give me a call if they want. I'm at 517-290-6739. And my phone is a very powerful part of my life. And so if you call, I'm pretty sure you'll get a hold of me.
Well, thank you, Doug. I appreciate you coming on, and we will certainly look forward to following your progress when you get your apartment down south or maybe up north.
Yeah. Well, Reed, I want to thank you so much. We met. It's good to meet you. It looks like you're killing it with this stuff here. So congratulations to you. I think you got quite a ball rolling here. And if you think there's anything I could ever do to help you, please let me know.
Thank you so much.
Great.
All right.
Okay.